let's make some rings. Except today we're going to be ditching our original setup because we are going to be working with fire. So we're pretty much going to be making a bunch of our sterling silver stacker bands. All of these are for different orders. You guys have been ordering our stacker bands like crazy recently, which I'm so grateful for because I was so nervous when I first released these rings. I didn't think anyone was going to purchase them just because they are quite a bit different from our adjustable rings. But you guys seem to be liking them a lot, which makes me so happy. Anyways, let's get started on these rings. We're going to be making both thin stacker bands and thick stacker bands. And then to measure out the ring sizes, I use this tool here. You have to be pretty precise with the measuring, otherwise it could end up being a completely different size. So I'm going to go ahead and measure out the first ring, which is one of the thick stacker bands. And we're actually going to be making 3 of these, one in a size 9, one in a size 5.5, and the other in a size 10. And then we're going to be making one thin stacker band as well, which is going to be made in size 10. After I cut them, the edges are a little rough and we need them to be as straight as possible, so I'm just filing down the edges. And then I'm using my ring bender to shape them into circles. They don't need to be perfect circles by any means at this point because we are going to take the 2 ends and bend them together. That way they meet up perfectly and there's no gap. So once it is time to solder them, the solder will flow perfectly. So that's what I'm doing right now. When I first started making these rings, this part was actually really tricky for me to get down, which it sounds like such a simple task, but when you're first starting out, it's actually pretty difficult to get a perfect seam. Anyways, I'm just repeating that same process for all the rings, and then eventually we're going to go ahead and grab our soldering board. That way we could solder the rings shut. So I'm just going to grab each one and place it on here, and then I'm going to cover each of them in flux, and this basically just helps the solder flow while also protecting the piece from fire scale. Anyways, now we're finally going to cut our little pieces of solder. As you can see, we don't need much at all, so I'm just going to place each of those little pieces by the seam, and then fire up each piece until the solder flows. If you look closely, you can see the exact point at which it does flow, which I think it's super satisfying. But anyways, I just quenched the pieces. That way they completely cool off and I could touch them without getting burnt and keep on working. So I'm just going to go ahead and put each ring on the ring mandrel and then hammer it out into a perfect circle. And then after this, I'm going to go ahead and clean up any excess solder and basically just blend the seam together. That way you can't see it. I also go in with the Dremel tool as well for the inside of the rings. Also, I could use the Dremel tool on the outside as well. It would speed up my process, but I do feel like I have a lot more control with the little piece of sandpaper, and I just prefer it specifically for the outside of the ring. Anyways, now we're going to go in with each of these sanding discs. We have to go through all the colors, and I go all the way up to, I think, a 2000 grit. Those just help get out any tiny scratches in the rings, and once I go through all those grits, I actually throw all the rings inside the jewelry tumbler. Again, not only to get out minor imperfections, but to also bring a shine to the rings while also work hardening them. Anyways, now we're down to the final step, which is going in with 2 different types of polishing compounds, again just to get out minor imperfections and to really bring a shine to the rings. And after this, the rings are officially done, and here's how all 4 of them turned out.